Hey guys, and welcome back to another lesson. Today we're doing lesson 2.5 in our Florida's Best Math workbook. So let's get straight to it. Today we are going to be using the distributive property of multiplication. The distributive property is another way of using expanded form. So let's start off with the explore. We're going to complete this area model to find the product of 5 times 20 plus 8. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and highlight 20 plus 8 because if I needed to find the original equation, what I'm really doing is I'm really doing 5 times 28. However, they took the 28 and they distributed it as 20 plus 8. In other words, they separated the tens from the ones. Now, we're going to do the same thing here. We keep the 5 on the side. Now we're going to work 5 times what? Remember, this is what we're timing. We're timing this on the outside number for the first number, and then same number times the second number. Like this. The first step is to multiply 5 times the first number. The first number is 20. So let's do 5 times 20 first. 5 times 20, we're going to write it here, 5 times 20. Remember our other lesson that I said you need to look for the basic fact. The basic fact is 5 times 2, which is 10, and I add a 0. So 5 times 20 is 100. So this area model is 100, but I'm not done. Now I'm going to look for the second one. Let's go back to the 5, but now I'm going to multiply times the second number. So that second digit is 8, the ones place. It's always a 5 times the tens or the 5 times the ones. Of course, depending on what number you're multiplying. This is only a 2-digit number, so we're only multiplying by the tens and by the ones. So here we're going to go to 5 again. We keep that 5 times the second digit, the ones digit, 5 times 8. And that's going to give me 40. So that means that this area model is 40. That means that in order for me to find the full product or the product of the answer, I'm going to add 100 plus 40. And if I add it together, that gives me 140. So I could say that 5 times 20 plus 8, which is originally 5 times 28, is 140. Now, I'm going to do it with the distributive property so you see it that way as well because we're not always going to have a picture. So let's take a look this way. I start with 5 times 28. I'm going to pick a number. I'm going to pick this side, right, because it's the bigger number, and that's the only one that I could distribute. And they rewrote it 5 times instead of 28, 20 plus 8. Okay, now we're gonna kick it up a notch. We're going to put parentheses here. What did we multiply first? We multiplied 5 times 20 plus. Why a plus? Because this is a plus. If this was a minus, then this was a minus. If this is a times, then this is a times. Now, we're not done. We multiplied first 5 times 20, but what did we multiply on the second box? We multiplied 5 times 8, and then we close parentheses. We're still not done. So now what we have to do is say, okay, let's solve 5 times 20. We know already it's 100 plus 5 times 8 is 40. So together, you still get the same product. You get 140. Now, for the communicate clearly, it's a little different, but not much. So you're going to take this number that you see here. Let's highlight that. And I'm going to rewrite it because I like to rewrite it the other way around, right? So I'm going to put 8 first, then I'm going to put times, and then I'm going to put 364. Okay, so 364, this is the number that I'm going to what? I'm going to distribute. That means that I'm going to take it and I'm going to put it like this. So let me put it over here so that I can save space. Okay, that means that I'm going to do 8 times. Now I'm going to put parentheses. Let's let's expand that number. How many hundreds? 300. 300 plus. How many tens in this number? 6 tens. 6 tens is 60. Plus again. How many ones? 4 ones. Now I close the parentheses. I'm almost done, but not quite. Second step, I'm going to multiply first. Let's do it over here. I'll do it in another color so we can see it better. So I'm going to take this, and the first thing I'm going to multiply is 8 times 300. 300. Close the parentheses, plus. Now I'm going to go back, parentheses again. Every time I'm going to multiply by a new number, it's a parentheses. Now I'm going to do 8 times again, but now instead of 300, the next number. I'm going to go in order. So I'm going to put 8 times, but now it's 60. Close the parentheses. Plus again, parentheses again. Go back to the 8. Why? Because this is a 3-digit number. So now it is what? 8 times 4. Now I have 3 different products to find. So let's do it over here to save space. First one we're going to do is 8 times 300. 8 times 3 is 24. And we add 2 zeros. Next one, 8 times 60. Well, 8 times 6 is 48. With 1 more 0 is 480. And the last one, 8 times 4 is 32. Now, I add it all together and I get 2. 8 plus 3 is 11, right? 11. 4 plus 4 plus 1 is 9, right? And then I bring down that 2. So what is the product of 364 times 8? The product is 2,912. That's the product of 364 times 8. Okay, now we're going to move over to our next page. And let's move it along. Okay, so here we have build understanding, use the distributive property to multiply. Same thing. What did they distribute? 74 as 70 plus 4. Step 1, outside. Remember, it's outside. Let me do it here. Outside times the first number. So it's 8 times 70 goes first. After 8 times 70, then it's 8 again, but now it's times the second digit, which is 4. Now let's solve. 8 times 7 is 56, and I add a 0. 560. 8 times 4 is 32. And one more step would be to add 560 plus 32. And this is 2. And this is 9. And this is 5. That means that the product is 592. That's it. All right. One more step. Let's do it again. One more example. 2 times 567. Well, this number I need to expand as 500 plus 60 plus 7. I'm going to multiply each one of these numbers by 2. So 2 times 500 plus 2 times the second digit, the one in the middle, the tens place, 60, plus the ones. 2 times 7 is 14. Now, this is why it's written like this. This was the original. Then they expanded 50 plus 60, 500 plus 60 plus 7. They expanded 567. Okay? And then they rewrote it. See? 2 times 5, this is this parentheses, plus 2 times 60, second parentheses, 2 times 7, third parentheses, because we are multiplying 3 times. So in this case, and we're multiplying it by 2. So in this case, we have 2 times 500. This is going to give me 2 times 5 is 10. and I add 2 more zeros. That's 1,000. Now I'm going to go to the second equation. 2 times 60, or 2 times 6, which is 12, add a 0, 120. And the last equation is 2 times 7, 14. So the last and final step is to add 1,000 plus 120 plus 14. And if I add it together, this is 4, this is 3, this is 1, and this is 1. 1,134. See? It's not that hard. It's just, it takes a matter of getting used to. Let's go ahead and look at the try it. All right. Here we go. Let's take a look at our try it. And let's do it again. But look what I told you. There's no area model here. I don't have a little picture, so I need to know how to do it myself. Let's circle or highlight this number because that's the one that I can expand. Using tens and ones, how do I say 92? All right, it's 90 plus 2. That's the first step. Second step, 7 times the first number. 7 times 90, right? Second step is 7 again, but now 7 times 2. That was the second step. Now let's go back. 7 times 90, or 7 times 9, which is 63, and I add a 0, 630. Plus, see how they put a plus, plus? Okay, now 7 times 2, then I'm going to use that as being, that's going to be 14. Now all I have to do is add it all together, which is 630 plus 14. This is a 4, this is a 4, and this is a 6. So my product is 644. And that's it. All right, let's try it one more time. Here we go. We're going to expand this 3-digit number. Okay, so since we're expanding, what are we expanding? We can't, so what numbers go here? Because there's only 2, right? So let's see. I don't need to put a 0. Let's start with this. How many hundreds? How do you say the number? You say 306. So we have 300. So it's 300. Are there any tens? No. So we don't have to put that because there are none. And then 300 plus 6. 300 plus 6 is 306. Now let's follow our rule. 4 times the first number. I'm going to put a plus sign here because there's a plus sign here. Because this was 300 plus 6. I'm plusing it. So I'm adding it together. So 4 times the first number. So 4 times 300 plus 4 times the second number. 4 times 6. Now all we need to do is solve. 4 times 300 is 1200. And now the last one is going to be 4 times 6, which is going to equal 24. And then all I have to do is add 1,200 or 1,200 plus 24. And if I add it all together, this is 4, this is 2, bring down that 2, bring down that 1. My final product is 1,224. And that is it. You could always pause my videos and you can go back if there's still something that you're not quite understanding. Remember, you can always pause it, or just like I said, or go back to it. Um, that way it's easier for you to understand and you can go at your own pace. Okay, now we're going to get to the in-class practice. So let's go to the in-class practice. And we're going to, again, let's focus on the same steps that we were doing before. What did they already expanded it. So what did they expand for me? Distribute 85. 80 plus 5. That part is done. So let's go back to the rule. What are the rules? 6 times the first number, 6 times 80. And then 6 times the second number, 6 times 5. Now I need to find the product. So we need to find what is 6 times 80. 6 times 8 is 48, and add a 0, 480. And 6 times 5 is 30. Now all I have to do is get 480 plus 30. This is 0, 8, 9, 10, 11. Carry the 1. 4 plus 1 is 5. That means that my product is 510. Now let's go to number 4. What am I going to expand? I'm going to expand this 3-digit number. I can't expand the 2. It's only one number. So I'm only going to expand the one that I can. Let's distribute 932. So we're going to expand it with 900 plus 30 plus 2. What's the rule again? 2 times the first number, 2 times 900. 2 times the second number, 2 times 30. And 2 times the last number, 2 times 2. Now let's solve. I have 1800 or 1800. Let's put it over here already so that way we're ready to add later. 2 times 30, 2 times 3 is 6. Add a 0, so that's 60. And 2 times 2 is 4. Okay, so oops, sorry, this is 4. Okay, so here we go. This is 4. This is 6. Bring down that 8 and bring down the 1. That means that my final product is 1864. That's it. Now these don't have any images or pictures on it, so guess what? We're going to have to do it just like it is. So step 1, we're going to expand this guy. So let's expand it. We're going to do it as 4 times 600 plus 90 plus nothing, plus 0. So we're done. Let's close that up. Okay, now we're going to parentheses. 4 times the first number, 600, close parentheses, plus, parentheses again, keep the 4 times the second number, 90. Now, let's solve. 4 times 6 is, I'm going to do it over here, 4 times 6 is 24. I add 2 zeros and I get 2,400. Then I have 4 times 90, which is 4 times 9 is 36. And I add a 0 and that's 360. Now all I have to do is add it all together. That's going to give me 0. 0 plus 6 is 6. 4 plus 3 more is 7. And then bring down that 2. So what is my final product? It is 2,760. Here we go. Let's try it again. I'm going to switch the numbers instead. In this case, I'm going to put 9 first times. Now let's expand 102. Let's distribute it as 100 plus 2. That's it. Now, step 2. After we did that, we're going to do parentheses. Here we go. We keep 9 times the first number, 100. Close it. Plus again, parentheses again, 9 times the second number, 2. That's it. So now we're going to solve. I'm going to do it over here. 9 times 100 is 900. 9 times 2 is 18. Add it together. Okay? And then if you add it together, that's going to give you 8. This is going to give you 1. And this is 9. That means that the total is 918. That's it. Okay. Let's try number 7 now. We're going to switch the numbers around. I'm going to put 5 times 487. Let's expand that number as 400 plus 80 plus 7. Now, here we go, parentheses. We keep 5 times. 5 times the first number, 400. Close it. Plus parentheses again, 5 times, rule, 5 times the middle number, the tens place, 80. Close it, plus, we're not done yet. 5 times again, 5 times. We have 3 parentheses because we're multiplying times 5 3 times because there's 3 place values. So now we have 5 times the last digit, which is 7. Now all I have to do is plug the numbers together. So let's solve 5 times 400 first. 5 times 4 is 20. And I add 2 zeros, I get 2,000. 5 times 8 is 40 plus 0, that's 400. So I'm going to put 40, 40 plus a 0 is 400. And then 5 times 7 is 35. Now I add it all together and I get 5, I get 3, I get 4, and I get 2. So that means that my product for this one is going to be 2,435. Now let's take a look at the last one. 8. Let's start it again. Let me erase some of these things so that we can see it a little bit better. Okay, let's start fresh. Okay, let's start with 8 times. So 8 times. Let's expand. 248. What can I distribute that as? Hundreds plus tens plus ones. Let's do it. 200 plus 4 tens, which is 40, plus 8 ones, which is 8. Now, let's break it down even more. 8 times the first number, 200, parentheses, plus, one more time, 8 times, remember, 8 times the first, now 8 times the second number, 40, plus, last one, 8 times the last place value, 8 times 8. Now, let's solve. I'm doing this one first. 8 times 200 is 1,600. 8 times 40 is 320 because 8 times 4 is 32 and a 0. And then finally 8 times 8, which is 64. All I have to do now is add. This is 4. 6 plus 2 is 8. 6 plus 3 is 9 and 1. So this is my final product. All right. And then let's take a look at question 9. Now, let's use the cube method for this one. Let me go ahead. All right. So let's read. A basketball player made 269 3-point shots in the season. How many points did he score from 3-point shots? Well, I know that we need to look at numbers, right? Let's circle important numbers. I know I'm going to have to do something with 269. Now, I don't see another number, so let me use my reading skills to figure out what they're asking me. What do I need to do with that? A basketball player made, there's nothing there. Let's see, 269 3-point shots. Wait a minute. That means that every time he made a shot, right? Every time he made a shot, those shots were each 3 points. That means I need to multiply each shot was 3 points, so it's times 3 because he made 269 of them. So now this is my equation. Okay, so now I can figure out, all right, let's see what we can do here. Okay, here we go. We're going to switch our numbers around and we're going to do 3 times 269. Okay, now let's break it down even more. Let's put 3 times. Let's do 200 plus 60 plus 9. Okay, now we're going to start with parentheses. Let's distribute it. 3 times the first number. 3 times 200. Close it. Plus again. 3 times the second place value. So here we go. 3 times 60. Close it. Plus again, we're not done. 3 times the last place value. 3 times 9. Okay. Now all we have to do is find the products. 3 times 2 is 6. 0, 0. That's 600. Plus 3 times 6 is 18. Add a 0 is 180. And 3 times 9 is 27. Now all I have to do is add all of those digits up. 600 plus 180 is 780. And then 27. Let's add it all up. I have 7 here. 8, 9, 10. 0, carry the 1. 6, 7, 8. That means 807 points. Let's go back to the question. A player made 269 3-point shots in a season. That means if every 3-point shot is worth 3 points, that has to be times 3, right? So 206, if that player did 269 3-point shots, that means that for the season, the player scored 807 total points for his team. Okay? So let's take a look at the last question for the day. And actually, we're going to do number 11 also, but let's take a look at 10. Here we go again. A juvenile bearded dragon should eat 48 crickets each day. So how many crickets does he eat each day? He eats 48 crickets a day. Okay, let me keep reading. So here we go. How many crickets should the dragon eat in 1 week? This is what they're asking. So this is the question that they want me to find out. But this is really going to tell me I have to do something with that. 1 week. I don't see any other numbers, but again, I need to use my reading skills because if you know 1 week is 7 days. All right. Now I have my equation. Now we can multiply. So now I can multiply like this as well. We've been multiplying the other way. You could do 7 times 48. It doesn't matter. But we're going to do it the other way instead. In this case, we're going to put parentheses and then times 7. We're going to keep it in the same order. Let's expand 48. What is 48? What plus what? Right. It's 40 plus 8. Just because the order is different does not mean that you change the way you do it. You're still doing the same thing. The only difference is the order is different. Instead of the 7 being over here, it's over here. That's it. It's the same thing. So let's keep practicing. We're going to do the first one. 7 times the first number. So we're going to do the first one is going to be 7 times 8, which is 56. And then we're going to go back to the 7, but 7 times the last number. So it's going to be 7 times 40, which is 280. Now we're going to add 280 plus 56. This is 6. 8 plus 5 is 13. And 2 plus 1 is 3. That means that in one total week, a juvenile bearded dragon should eat about 336 crickets in all. See how it's so important, boys and girls, to circle important numbers. And math is very close to reading because sometimes they don't give you the number. You just have to read it and figure out, oh, in 1 week, oh, that's 7 days. So, or 3-point shots. Oh, 3-point shot. That means that every time they got a shot, it was 3 points each one. See, those are kind of like inferences that you have to come up with. Oh, that's what it means. Okay, because not all the time it is going to be right there for you. Okay, now the last question that we're going to do for today is question 11. So let's take a look. Same thing. It's 744 times 3. Now, Is your friend correct? We need to find out if the friend is correct. So I'm going to go ahead and give you some time, or you can pause it and then think, is the friend correct? Or is the friend incorrect? Now, remember what I said about the order of the numbers. 3 times 744 is the same thing as 744 times 3. The only thing you're doing is changing the order of where the numbers are. That's called the commutative property of multiplication. So in this case, we're going to keep 3 times right here. And what did they do? They expanded. Now let's check to see if the friend is correct or if the friend made a mistake. How do I expand 744? Let's see. 700 plus 40 plus 4? Yeah, that's 744. Well, let's see. Let's see if maybe they followed the rules wrong. All right, let's look at the rules. 3 times 4. Is there a 3 times 4 here? Yep, there's that. Okay, here we go. 3 times 40. Is there a 3 times 40? 40 times 3? Yep. And the last one. 3 times 700. Is there a 3 times 700 or 700 times 3? Yeah. Okay. Now let's see if maybe they got the multiplication wrong. Okay. 7 times 3 is 21. Add 2 zeros. 2 zeros. Okay, so this checks out. Next. 3 times 4 is 12. 1 0, 1 0. 120. That checks out. And 4 times 3 is 12. So that checks out. Well, let's see. Did they add wrong? Let's try it out. 2,100 plus 120 plus 12. Add it all together, you get 2. This is 3. So far, so good. 1 plus 1 is 2, and 2,000. 2,232 is equal to 2,232. So is my friend correct? Absolutely. My friend is correct. My friend is correct. Just because the order number changed, the 3 is on one side instead of it being on the other side, it doesn't change your product. You're still going to have the same exact product. Okay? So it is the same exact thing. All right? Same thing. Now, boys and girls, thank you for joining us or joining me today. This is again lesson 2.5. Remember to subscribe to the channel so that if you get stuck on anything, you could always go back to that lesson and kind of give yourself a refresher so that you can kind of remember the steps. It's all about steps. You remember them well. Of course, if you have to study or anything like that, always go back, especially to those lessons that you were not so sure on, to help you practice a little bit more. Okay, guys, thank you so much for joining. Remember to subscribe, and I will see you on our next lesson. Bye.